Hello and welcome to Found Footage. I'm Siobhan. I'm joined by Casey, like normal.
Hi, I'm Casey, and it's not changed.
You're like, I'm Casey. I haven't turned into somebody else. How are you guys doing?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
We had a week off last week because Casey has a social life and I needed a nap.
Yeah, it's totally not a fabricated lie to make it seem like I'm cooler than I actually am.
But she only had a social life on the days where I was available, so you know.
Maybe it is fabricated. Maybe we just
Yeah, we're just not really friends.
perfected.
And we're not professional at all. And neither of us can talk and speak English. Let's go! We've
You
agreed.
know how you're supposed to be recording? You're like, words, work, and then your mouth's like,
And then your mouth's just like blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we addressed the fact that we didn't upload last week, and it's not just because we're lazy. We promise.
pinky promise.
I was waiting to do like the chest pound and the peace sign, and then I was like, nobody can see that. Anyway, so this week we watched Never Hike Alone, which is a Friday the 13th fan film, which was Kickstarter funded from Womp Stomp Films, and it is from 2017. And you found out for me that it was released on Friday the 13th of October, which is like the
Wait,
most satisfying date, not only for a horror film to be released, but for a Friday the 13th based movie to be released.
I thought so. I thought it was just such a clever little attention to detail.
Like, it was incredibly satisfying, especially that it fell in October that year. They probably actually had that in mind. I would imagine that they did it on purpose. Like,
I
they.
was gonna say, I mean, like, I don't imagine it was just like, oh, hey, you know what's coming up? Friday the 13th.
Oh, let's release then. It'll have been at, look, there's a Friday the 13th this year. We need to release it on this day. So, we open up with a little disclaimer about how it is a work of fan fiction. Everybody here is like a fan of Friday the 13th. It is like, it's not official canon, it's not like in any sort of official capacity, like they're crowdfunded. This is just people who love the series and love the genre and have made something that they are really proud of.
It was good of them to put the disclaimer there, but I couldn't help but think that everyone did such a good job, and especially for it to be just something that everyone made out of fun was really sweet and brilliant, and it totally turned out fantastic. Like, no spoilers, but kind of spoilers. It's a really good fan made film.
Yeah, there's a lot of like shots where you're like, that's actually really cool. And you can see it being in one of those horror movies that are very aimed at teens, but you're like, oh, it's still a cool shot.
Yeah.
There's like some of those in it, which I like. I'll appreciate even if it was to be like a kind of crappy movie. If it's got a decent like cinematography, then I still appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and some of the effects that they used was really like good. Like they were really cool.
Yeah,
They didn't really like. They obviously were kind of working on a slightly lower budget, but definitely I could totally say that this was one of the better movies, even if it was only just under an hour long.
yeah.
I
This is
just
definitely one of the better ones that we have covered. We've not covered that many, but it was really good. I say that there's only one movie that we've covered so far that I really wasn't a fan of, and we're gonna stop bringing it up eventually. We promise, but we didn't like it.
yeah, it was totally something you came up with as well.
I
I
know,
just
totally.
higher expectations from you.
Even though I've picked every other movie, actually, we came to like a dual consensus about, oh, we'll watch The Crazies, because our first
Yeah.
plan didn't actually work out because we couldn't find it on a streaming service where we could both watch it like at the same time.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I mean, that was the same sort of scenario when you picked the temple. Your first plan didn't work out.
When I picked Temple, um,
Yes.
so we will just dive right in, just dive right into this. After our disclaimer, we get some drone shots of a jeep driving on like mountain back roads, and there's like trees and foresty bits, and it's like, huh, Merca, and it's our guy, our main character, our only character for the vast majority of the film. His name is Kyle, and he is a vlogger of like outdoorsy shit, and he's like hiking and stuff, and he's like, what's up, guys? It's me, Kyle McLeod. Bloody bloody blah. I'm here in Wessex County National Forest. Bloody bloody blah. And like he does like his whole like opening bit to his camera, and then he's like, right, let's go, Kyle out. And it took you a couple of times to be like, wait, is his name Kyle?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't have the subtitles on because obviously it's on YouTube and you didn't think
Yes.
there'd be subtitles, but
The closed
you know,
captions are like official ones. Like everything that's being said with the closed captions is really good because I had it on just to see if it would be the same, and it is, which is also a great point that you brought up. It is free to watch on YouTube. It only has 1.5 million views, which is fucking scandalous. It should have way more.
it should
I
definitely.
will leave a link to the movie in the description of this video, and hopefully it'll encourage people to go and watch it. Plus, it's like less than an hour. It's 54 minutes long. It's worth a watch.
It is.
After our buddy Kyle has done like his opening to his viewers, and he's like, "Oh, Kyle out." You described it as hike montage.
That's literally what I had written down. It was badass hike montage.
Yeah, because there's like instrumental rock music playing, and then like in the middle of this song, he like goes through like a little stream, and he's like doing a bit of running. He like jumps over some twigs. He's like got his GoPro out and stuff, and then there's like a breakdown in the instrumental when he's just sort of walking along, and it's like, yes, this is what I came here for. Anyway, after his fucking kick-ass hiking montage, we sort of like cut, and he's like, there might have been a little bit in between, but it wasn't exciting enough for me to write about it. We sort of like cut to him. He's like in his tent recording like a promo for an item that's obviously a sponsor item. Like a sponsor's like even like, hey dude, we'll like pay you and give you like a free one of these if you like promote it on your channel. And so he's like trying to record like a little thing where he's like, oh, you definitely need this in your kit, and he's just not getting the words right because he couldn't give less of a fuck about this thing, and it's like a 3-in-1 shovel.
Yeah, it was totally looked flimsy and everything.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, this is like a piece of shit. But then he goes to get back into it because like he's reading like his notes, like, right from this company, 3-in-1 shovel, right, collapsible, easy to put together, right, let's go. And he goes to get back into it, and a coyote howls, and he's like, fuck me.
Which is actually just like footage of us trying to record these episodes, by the way. Just
Yeah, there's
all of
like
that.
there's a dog in my house, there's two in Casey's house, there's dogs outside. In the area that we both live in, there are foxes. They like to screech, you know.
Yeah.
The wildlife just don't care about the content.
I went to try and make a fox noise there, and then I thought, hey, we better not.
No, but you're ready to be like, wait, what does the fox say?
Oh, that was really dated.
Thank you, I'm old. Let's go. I like how every time we've done a pause now, I'm like, okay, let's go. Just like every time we're gonna sign off every episode with Kyle out from now on. We're just saying
Yeah,
it's
Kyle
happening.
out.
Yeah, Kyle out. But the closed captions just come up with like barking, biting, and tearing because you can just hear like wildlife sounds and like these coyotes outside. And he like turns his lights off and is like, "I'm gonna put this back up in the morning."
It's pretty valid.
It's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have your lights on and be like talking about your collapsible shovel while you can hear coyotes outside.
Damn wily coyotes.
Those damn wily coyotes. Yeah, but in the morning you see a shot of him brushing his teeth with river water.
I thought that was the worst crime of this movie.
Yeah, that's like, I love fucking diseases, boy. But he's like, oh, I found a trail marker leading off, and it doesn't look like any of the guides or anything go this way. Bloody blah, and he's like, oh, it's quite dense terrain. He's like, fuck it, we're gonna go anyway. Let's do this. Woo, Kyle out. And so he goes along like this trail, and he comes across a no trespassing sign and stops to vlog. And obviously, he stops to vlog because if you are one of these people who does the vlogging, you stop to vlog.
Well, yeah, you've got to document your trip, and
You've got to
when you come
document
across
your
a no
content.
trespassing sign, you
Yeah.
gotta document it.
Like, it says no trespassing.
Time to trespass.
Oh my god. But he's like filming into his little GoPro, and like some of the shots are from like Kyle's GoPro's like point of view, and then some of them are like from like an external camera, so like you're seeing shots of everything including Kyle. And there's a shot where Jason is like along the path past the no trespassing sign, and Kyle doesn't see him because he's too busy vlogging in like with his face in like the sort of opposite direction. And so, like, it won't be on his footage. He'll never know that he was there, but we know. And then Kyle's sort of like, he kind of like turns because he's like, what? And like, Jason's not there.
Like your typical spooky film slasher guy antics.
Yeah. It is very Jason. There's some Friday the 13th movies later on where it's like, Jason definitely fucking teleports, because he's like there and then not there in those like 2 fucking seconds.
I'm actually positive he teleported at some point during this film.
Oh, he probably did. And so he's like, damn, you should never do this. But he's like, it's gonna take me like fucking forever to get back to where I was and then go back the other way. And he's like, but if I cut through here, I can like make it to a trail on the other side of the lake to like complete his round trip that he's planning on doing for like this video shoot. And so he's like, we shouldn't be doing this, but we're gonna do it anyway. Let's go. And he obviously passes the no trespassing sign.
Yeah, he just like jumps right over it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, but the sun will be, like, gone in a few hours, I'll need to find a place to camp out. And so he's, like, using his fucking collapsible shovel to break wood. Because I'm like, I mean, at least that's a use for it, you know what I mean?
Do you know what his collapsible shovel reminds me of?
What?
Do you remember the Goonies when, Coda, like, has his inventions?
Do you mean Data?
Data, yes. Sorry, I'm terrible with names.
Who's Coda?
I don't know. I was like, no, Coda's definitely the name.
Coda sounds like the name of, like, somebody I went to school with, dog or something.
Yeah, Coda's definitely a dog name. I think it's just short for dog Coda.
Oh my god, dog Coda. But yeah, so he's using his collapsible shovel to fucking break wood. And then he's like, he like shifts a bit of like dirt and debris and shit, and then he's like, oh, there's something under here, and he just keeps clearing it away, and then the camera sort of pans up, and it is like the Camp Crystal Lake sign, and that's a fucking cool shot.
It was so cool, and like, as someone who's never really sat and watched all the Friday the 13th films, I really appreciated it. Like, never mind how much you appreciated it.
I loved it. I was like, fuck yeah, Crystal Lake! Like, I'm wearing my Friday the 13th shirt right now, and I put that on this morning, not planning for this to be the film that we watched, but it is the film that we watched, and so I'm fucking decked out, lads. You're just like, and I'm like, this is the scene, this is the part of the movie where this character died, and they died this way, and it took approximately 36 seconds for them to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
That's it. And obviously he fucking vlogs seeing the sign, motherfucker.
Obviously, I mean, how could you not?
Yeah. Yeah. But he's like, oh, it's gotta be around here somewhere. So he goes and he finds Camp Crystal Lake, and then he starts sort of exploring, and he goes into like one of the what must have been like the offices or something, and there's like taxidermy ducks, and it showed you like a shot of one duck and then a shot of another one, and I was like, this is gonna be a duck goose joke, and it wasn't. There wasn't a goose, but that was my interpretation. I was like, oh, there's gonna be a goose, goose. There was not, but there was like old calendars, and there's like old like, I don't know, like camp pamphlets and shit, and he finds like a fucking old school like 70s 80s Playboy, and he just like, he's like holding it up with his torch, just appreciating it, and then he sort of puts it under his arm for later. And
I had written that down as time to flip through someone else's porn.
No, but then you were like, dude, that might actually be worth money if that's like an old school Playboy, and like it was in pretty decent condition. It was in a box or something.
Yeah, it was. I just want to like let you all know, because I know this fact, that Playboy was from July 1980.
Damn.
Which was the same year as the original film Friday the 13th was released in 1980.
In 1980. We should totally Google and see how much a Playboy from 1980 would be worth.
We should. I always do that with currency, like seeing movies when they're like, oh, it's so-and-so this, and it's like 1940. I'm like, how much is that now?
I tell you what, we will Google it afterwards, and I will put the answer Here, that's a lot of money. But yeah, so he starts finding like those red and like yellow crime scene markers that you see in like cop shows and stuff, and they're obviously like, so I knew straight away that the placement of them is where the murders from the original movie took place. As somebody who's seen it umpteen times, I've seen like all the sequels. I'm a big fan. What did you know that that's what they were?
So someone who's never actually seen it, and I'm so sorry, I've never seen the original one, but I kind of started to catch on like after they showed the first maybe two. I was like, ah, this clicks.
Yeah. So like eventually you can sort of piece it together and be like, oh. But
Yeah.
yeah, I did have to Google to like, because the first one that he finds is in the shower and it's like got the number 6 on it, and I had to Google to remember the name of the character that dies in like the washroom shower area because I couldn't remember her name. I knew exactly which character she was. It was Kevin Bacon's girlfriend in the movie. Her name was Marcy Stanler, and I had to also check and see if the numbers equated to the order that they died in the film, which they don't, but I had to just in case because that would have been really fucking cool.
That would have been really cool. I mean, either way, it was still really cool.
It was still really cool. Like, obviously, they put in a lot of attention to detail. Like, these are people who probably love this movie more than I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was just really nice because, you know, every like nod they did to the original film was just done with such care, I feel.
Yeah, like they did it justice. You know what I mean? It wasn't like let's do a piss take or let's cash in. It was like, dude, we love this. Let's just do it, man.
Yeah.
And he finds himself in like what must be like the main camp hall. There's a couple of like longer tables with chairs, like those bench type ones, like kind of like the ones you see in Harry Potter, but like obviously not that big.
The ones you see in Harry Potter, but like more American camp style.
All right, well I've never been to an American camp, so
Well, you've watched Friday the 13th.
yeah, but I don't know if they ever actually had a scene in that room or in that sort of room. Not in the first one, they didn't anyway, because they were there fixing it up before the camp folk came. You know what? Right, here's a better instance. If anybody has seen Sleepaway Camp, it's like the table, like the tables and chairs in like the mess hall scenes from like Sleepaway Camp, or the what is the second Addams Family movie? Is it Addams Family Affair or something? The one where fucking Wednesday goes to camp.
Oh, I don't remember the name. I just remember that.
Addams Family Values.
Ah,
Yeah, there you go. That is my 2 points of call. Mostly Addams Family Values as a child. There you go. But he's in this room, he's poking around, and then something fucking falls out of the fireplace, and weren't you like, is it a head?
I thought it was a wolf head. And I felt really stupid afterwards because it's just a dead possum that was
Yeah.
like more or less half gone.
Yeah. But you were like, oh, it's a wolf head, and then, oh no, it's a dead possum.
Either way, they're cool.
But yeah, Kyle, like, he sits down and then he turns on his camera again and he's vlogging and he starts telling the story of, like, Jason and his mom and how, like, Jason drowned in the lake and, like, the police searched for days and they couldn't find his body and it wasn't there. And his mom, who was, like, the camp cook, blamed the counselors and so she went on a killing spree in 1980 and she killed them all. And was eventually beheaded by the only survivor with, like, her own machete. And then apparently Jason was in the lake and he's seen his mum die. And then he's like, but he's like, all those stories used to scare the shit out of me. My older brother used to tell me. But then he was like, dumb ghost stories. So it's like, is it a dumb ghost story?
Or is it true?
Or is it true, me lover? But then he has some more explanation. Then he has some more exploration. He finds another crime scene ribbon, which as soon as he went through the fucking door, I knew the room, I knew the kill, I knew the character, I knew the actor, I knew the makeup effect.
You were just like all on that. You're
Yeah.
like, I know this.
Yeah. So he goes into the room where Kevin Bacon's character Jack gets killed in the original, and obviously it's one of like the most recognizable kills from this or like original film. It's the one where he's just like had sex with his girlfriend Marcy, who is the girl who got killed in the shower, and she's just sort of left, and he's just, just smoking a cigarette. He's just having a good time. And then an arrow comes out from underneath the bunk bed and stabs him through the throat. And then I'm pretty sure what happened on set of the original is that everybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that like they only had like one shot of like doing this because the original film was pretty low, like really low budget. So Tom Savini, like the makeup artist, who is a spectacular makeup artist, he makes fucking masks for WWE wrestlers and everything now.
Well, that's good to know
Yeah.
that. Fun little factoid.
Yeah. Tom Savini's done heaps of fucking makeup, yeah, fucking top look, legend. But I'm pretty sure that he had to blow the blood out through a tube because it wasn't spurting properly. So I'm pretty sure he had to blow it so that it would like pool. So everybody can correct me if I'm wrong. That may be a totally different kill in a totally different movie where somebody had to blow the blood out of a tube, but I think it was that one.
I mean, it sounds pretty like it fits the scene.
Yeah. If I am wrong, I will put the words "wrong" underneath my explanation and tell you which movie it was, because I remember facts. I don't always remember what the facts are linked to. But
You get
yeah,
if you put it if it's wrong, then you need to write big red lettering wrong.
wrong. Yeah, he's sort of like, oh, I wonder what's through here. So he goes through to the next room, which is like a kitchen, and he's like, oh, this must have been where Pamela Voorhees cooked up all the meals. And then he's like, I thought my lunch lady was scary, and I was like, that's pretty funny. I was like, that's pretty funny. Fair dues.
Kyle's got some good laughs there.
I was like, huh. And then he hears like some banging stuff, and he's like, oh, because you're in a fucking like abandoned summer camp where there's been tons and tons of ghost stories about, and you think you're all alone and by yourself, and you start hearing fucking banging coming from an upstairs area.
Yeah, no, I'd brick it.
You're gonna shit your pantaloons. And so he starts heading up the stairs. GoPro's still on, obviously. You gotta get the footage.
Obviously.
You gotta get the footage. Everybody's seen the Blair Witch. You've gotta get the footage. People start
It's
going
on.
batshit crazy. You gotta get the footage.
It's the only way to get views.
You gotta get the footage. You got to get the foot.
Subscribe, by the way.
Subscribe to our channel. But like, he notices that the banging is like this door, and he sort of opens it up, and it's one of those like doors to nowhere that I've seen before, but I've never physically seen before because they're not like a thing in the UK. As far as I'm aware, I've never seen one.
I know they're used a lot of the time for like stage stuff.
Yeah.
Kyle taught me something that I never knew, and you're all probably gonna laugh at me. But apparently those doors were for lifting heavy stuff
Yes.
into like the upper floors, and I'm like, what? Mind blown.
To be honest with you, like, it didn't really click until he said it, but I'm like, oh, I'm actually pretty sure I've heard that somewhere before. That's one of those things where you maybe hear it, and you're like, huh, and then you never need that information again, so you don't use it.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it and you think, like, that does actually really make sense.
Yeah.
And, like, all my life I'm thinking, man, I hate those doors that lead to nothing. Man, they are so pointless. What's the point? And
Yeah.
now I know. And now I feel stupid about it. But I came out of today smarter than I was yesterday.
You came out swinging,
Did.
and that's what happens here on Found Footage.
You learn things.
You learn things. We're educational. Everybody hire us for all of your education needs. We are qualified. We have PhDs in horror.
Yeah. Woo.
In horror
Fudge.
and science.
Fudges.
Casey's done a science.
I've done a science.
Yeah, Casey's done a science.
I know how to mix things.
And I've done a horror, so hire us. Or subscribe, whatever you want.
Either work fine.
Either or, both things are things that we would like for you to do. Whatever you want to do, that's your prerogative.
It's your life.
It's your life, man. You live it the way you want. Don't let us tell you what to do. Like and subscribe for more content.
Ding. Winky face and big bright smile.
Yeah. What is it the kids say? Smash that like button if you want more.
Let's never be those people.
Yeah, you guys do what you want. This is mostly fun for us.
It's a good bonding experience.
It is, and it gives us an excuse to watch movies we probably wouldn't normally watch.
Like Temple.
Like
Just say.
fucking Temple. Anyway, as we were saying, eventually, Kyle sort of like turns around and he's still looking around upstairs, and he comes across what must be like Jason's like housey area. Cause he's like, oh dude, I think somebody's living here, and he picks up like a little postcard thing, and it's like a birthday prayer, and he reads it out, and on the back he like flips it over, and it's signed like to my son from mother, and it's like, well, who refers to themselves as mother? And Mrs. Voorhees does. I'm pretty sure it's Freddy versus Jason, where like her ghost is like, kill for mother.
Yeah, that is.
But it turns
I
out
love
it's,
that.
I was to say, but it turns out it's just Freddy pretending to be her.
Freddie got way into way into character way too easily. By
Oh,
the
see,
way,
like I think Freddy should do drag. I think he'd be fucking bomb ass.
right?
That's
Concept.
oh.
You're a drag queen, right?
Mhm.
But you act as though you cosplay as Freddy Krueger, right? But Freddy Krueger is a drag queen, so you gotta like put on the makeup to look like Freddy Krueger,
And
but
then
then
put
add
drag on
makeup
top.
on top of that as if you're like a drag queen.
There
And-
is actually so if you haven't watched season 12 of Drag Race yet, but in the first episode, my favorite queen from the season, Crystal Method, does a Freddy Krueger sort of inspired look, and it's
Oh, that's so
good,
cool.
but like it's not like the Freddy makeup and then drag makeup. It's like drag like Freddy inspired, but it's really cool.
That is so really cool.
Mhm.
I like.
It's like a long like sort of like sweater thing in the
Uh-huh.
in like the colors, and it's like all safety pinned together and stuff.
That's
It's
so
cool.
cool.
Even if I decide not to add a lot of edits to this, depending on time restraints, I will add a photo of that here. There we go. Ding 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 ding. But then our boy Kyle is like, "Ugh, what's that smell?" And he pulls back the sheets of like this makeshift bed, and obviously Pamela's corpse is in the bed. I think it's just the head,
Yeah, I
just the
think-
rotting head. Which is like, this isn't quite as nice as the shrine he built for his mum in part 2, but
You gotta make with what you've got and what you're provided with.
a Jason's got to do what a Jason's got to do.
When life hands you lemons, you make an alright sort of shrine for your dead mother's head.
Yeah, you take it to bed with you and give it a cuddle. So after he's like, ugh, Jason grabs Kyle, and he's like, obviously the GoPro gets sort of like entangled as well, so you're kind of like, your view's kind of blocked a bit, and he fucking chucks Kyle out of this this fucking top story door to nowhere window door thing. And it's like, but like as soon as you seen that door in the movie, you were like, is this foreshadowing? Is this how he dies?
That was actually exactly what I said. I was like, foreshadowing.
But then like after that, you were like you literally got thrown out that window, and you're like, oh my god, is he dead?
I was like, wow, this movie ended quick.
But like, he's not dead. He's just he's just like been chucked out of a fucking second. It's like a second story. Like it's a fall you can survive. He didn't fall on his neck, so he's pretty fine. He like gets up and like begins to like crawl away, and then like Jason fucking leaps down to get him, and there's like a little sort of scuffle where Jason like goes to axe Kyle, but Kyle manages to scoot back just before fucking Jason fucking smashes his fucking junk into the ground with this axe.
Oh, that made my entire body clench when you said that.
Yeah, like I don't have any testicles, right? But they would have retracted into my body if I'd had them.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. I will be here all week.
Like, clench.
Yeah, it was like, ooh. But then like Kyle gets up and he goes and like he gives Jason some fucking body blows. Like he fully like fucking punches into Jason a couple of times. And then there's like a little bit more of a scuffle. Kyle begins to get away. Jason throws the axe. It lodges itself in a tree. And then Kyle just starts fucking pelting it. And we're all like, Kyle, Kyle, Kyle.
Yeah.
But then there's like those like classic beats from like the Friday the 13th score was like, and like Jason goes inside, picks up his fucking machete, and it's like, oh, that's a shot for the fans. And then there's like a bunch of really nice shots of like behind Kyle while he's fucking running away, and then there's shots of like Jason like front on that are kind of rotating slightly as he moves, like, so it's supposed to look disorientating.
Uh-huh.
And I really like those.
See, that entire like run through the forest scene was just really, really lovely to look at. I know it sounds so silly, obviously saying, oh, that's lovely watching some guy get chased in the middle of a forest. But like it was just shot really well. And, the ambience was perfect, the trees, you know,
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, there is a lot of fucking chase scenes in horror films, and there are a lot of chasing through the woods scenes in horror films, like, especially in, like, Friday the 13th and, like, Texas Chainsaw Massacres and stuff. But,
mhm.
and a lot of the time they can feel like, oh, it's just another fucking chase through the woods. I wonder when it'll fucking end so that we can get back to something else. But this was a really cool one.
Yeah, it was. It definitely had you on like the edge of your seat. You were
Yeah.
kind of like, "Oh, please, Kyle, get away!"
Like, Kyle, run! But then Kyle fucking decks it over, like, the fucking, like, wire. I think it's maybe slightly barbed. No trespassing sign fucking wire. And he's like, fucking, like, oh, my leg. It doesn't look like it's that bad. I suppose it probably hurt a fucking lot. You know what I mean? It doesn't look super
Imagine
deep, but
it is your knee, and that's kind of
it was
like
below his knee, was it not?
it was like not his kneecap, but like the little bit where it's
Oh,
like your shin, but also kind of like leads up to your knee.
ah, I see. Your femur?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like not that far below his knee.
No, but like your shin is like right down on your ankle.
Was it? I thought the
Yeah.
shin was the whole part that just led all the way up.
I don't think so. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical examiner. But Kyle does something that I think is fucking stupid. He takes his bandana and I'm like, tie it around the wound, and he just bunches it up and holds it to the wound on his leg. And I'm like, tie it around the fucking wound. Tie it around the wound, Kyle. It'll
Kyle's
apply
like, "Nah, I
pressure.
just
It'll apply pressure and keep it on.
yeah."
But, you know, instead of doing that, he fucking ends up dropping it on the floor and he crawls away to hide behind a tree. And obviously the bandana fucking gives him away to Jason, and we're all like, God damn it, Kyle.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kyle. But then there's like another bit of a scuffle, and Kyle makes it out, which, I mean, I'm super proud of him, because, you know, who makes it out of a fucking fight with Jason? Next to nobody.
Well, no, I'd have been, doomed as soon as I got yeeted out the window.
Oh, I wouldn't have moved. I would have just been dead. I
You're
would
like, not a shit. Kill me now,
I
please.
would have legit landed on my neck. You know what I mean? I would have been like, oh my god, how do you land safely? Snap. But yeah, and then like, so Kyle's like hiding against some rocks or something somewhere, and then he starts like vlogging, he starts whispering, and he's like, hey, if somebody finds this, blah blah blah, this is where I was, blah blah, I found Camp Crystal Lake, blah blah, and then he's like, oh, and if anybody like does find this, just give this to like my mom and dad, and then he's like, mom, dad, I love you, and then he goes to say, I'm sorry, and it cuts off, and it's like, cool, character development, you love
Oh,
your
no.
parents. They probably didn't, like, I'm assuming it's something stupid, like they don't approve of his job as a outdoorsy vlogging man,
Yeah.
but we will never know.
It'll never be revealed to us.
Yeah. But also, while he was doing this, he was like, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna survive, and I need to get back to to the camp for his gear." And so he goes back, and he gets in, and he has to stealth from Jason because he can hear Jason moving around. So he's like hiding behind like tables and shit, and like hiding under shit. And then he grabs his stuff, and that's all fine. But he elects to stay there to stitch up the wound in his leg, which, like, I
Which
know it's
I
an
was
emergency. I know you need to get that done, but you could probably get somewhere else first.
could have just bandaged it, bolted, and then when he was like a little bit safer and not in the camp under a table,
Yeah,
started to stitch it.
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, either way, the effects were really nice.
so it was very obvious that they used practical effects. There wasn't any CGI blood as far as I could tell, and if they did use CGI stuff, it was probably for very minor things. Which, like, all of the effects in like the original Friday the 13th were all practical and stuff. So I really appreciate that sort of nod as well.
You always win my heart with practical effects. I'll say that.
Yeah, practical effects are a fucking winner.
Yeah,
I appreciate good CGI, and then there's parts where obviously you need CGI for some things. Like, if you need to like, split a body, like, vertically, sometimes you need CGI to, like, help. But,
yeah,
like, yeah, practical effects will win for me every time.
agree.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So, Kyle grabs his shit to GTFO, And then I've just got, in capitals, Jason coming! And then in capitals again, I've got, fight! And so, like, Kyle holds up well against Jason. Like, he holds his own. Most people don't hold any fucking candle to Jason in any of the films. He, like, breaks a chair across Jason, and then I didn't see exactly how Jason got him down, but Kyle's, like, down for the count on the floor. He's, like, fucking knocked him over. And so Jason turns around to get his machete, and he turns back around, and Kyle is gone. So Kyle's done, like, the fucking slasher killer move and has just fucking disappeared.
But it was hilarious because then, like, Jason's like, time to look up at the door, and you just see Kyle shuffle out the door.
Yeah. I was like, that's amazing. Like, that's normally the fucking killer's move, and normally you don't see them leaving at all, but instead it was like, this time the victim is the one who's gone, and you just see them fucking shuffling away. But then we get
fuck yeah, Kyle, go.
Fuck yeah, Kyle! But then we get the smackdown of the century. Now, I don't watch the wrestling, but forget any of those matchups about the W Raw and the WE and the
This is the
and the WXD. This is the SmackDown. The real one. Shovel versus Machete!
Woo, 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 woo!
And yeah, so they're fighting, they're scuffling, there's like, you could probably play Duel of the Fates from fucking Star Wars over this, and it would suit. What? Are you just picturing it?
I was just picturing it, and I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
Look out for our side channel, which is just going to be meme edits of horror films. But yeah, Kyle knocks Jason's mask off, which is a part of the process to kill Jason in the video game. We will mention.
I knew that. That hit me. I was like, whoa, this is a bit of knowledge I know.
Yeah, you were like, video games I can handle. Fuck yeah, bruh.
Woo.
And but yeah, so this obviously reveals Jason's fucked up zombie face, which mostly resembles the face that he had in Part 7, The New Blood, and because the makeup and like design of his actual face and features change every single time you see his face. A lot of the time Jason has his mask on, but in almost every movie there's a part where obviously his face gets revealed to somebody and you're like, oh my god, that's fucked up, that's not human! You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that is the face that it most resembles for me. So I just thought I would bring that up. And so like they go so like Kyle like fucks off and runs a bit, and Jason puts his mask back on and goes after it, and there's a bit more scuffling, and then Kyle goes to like stab Jason. No, Jason goes to stab Kyle, and Kyle goes to swing the axe into Jason. And they sort of both hit each other at the same time, and like they both fall backwards, and it's like this really sort of like, it's a shot that I like, but it's also kind of weird the way that they both sort of like slow motion sort of fall away from each other. So I think it looks warped.
Yeah, it was really cool. I liked it. It kind of gave me like Freaky Friday vibes.
Yes, like that sort of thing where it's like, oh no, we swapped bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully get that. And so like the axe is lodged in Jason's neck. I should have mentioned before the shot of them falling down, there's a shot of like this fucking goopy, like thick, like kind of sludgy blood pouring out of the holes in the hockey mask.
Because, that was
which
so
was such
cool.
a cool effect. It was so cool. Because I'm imagining for the most part, the actor who played Jason is called Vincent DeSante. I'm going to assume that that's how you pronounce it. I am really sorry if I've butchered it. I haven't actually checked to see what the actors in this movie were in other than this, but I'm assuming that they had him hold like either fake blood capsules or like fake blood in his mouth for him to pour out at the right moment, because it was timed so well. So that's really well done on his part. And he's also been like a fucking really good Jason. He's been wandering around menacingly, and he's been like he's been showing off in these fight scenes, so props.
Yeah. Side note, he's also the writer and director. I think you mentioned the director, but he is the writer as well.
Oh, fucking
one of the writers.
Major props to Vincent DeSante.
Yeah. Big legend.
Legend! Beep, 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 beep.
Legend.
I'm gonna have to get a air horn noise effect, so I don't have to make it with my mouth every time.
No, I think the mouth.
The mouth one's better. Beep, 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 beep. It gives it a bit of a homemade feel. just like everything else we do. Yeah.
Also just mega douchebags.
But yeah, so he's on the ground, and then the machete is sort of like in Kyle's side, but Kyle pulls it out, and it has blood on it. But then Kyle reaches into his jacket and he pulls out his fucking travel guidebook, and like it's stabbed right through. So like the machete has hit him, but the guidebook took most of the force, and we're like saved by the book.
It's like a full-on what is it? Is it in The Good, Bad, and Ugly where he's got like the pan in his shirt?
I think so. There's another thing. There's something.
It's also Back to the Future that does it.
Oh, it was a movie that I watched with some of the squad for a movie Monday thing that we do. It's a movie called Gunther about a group of assassins who try to kill the world's best assassin so that they can overthrow him and become the world's best assassin. And the guy's got like a gold cigarette case, and he gets shot, and like that saves him. It's a comedy movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. He plays Gunther.
That sounds amazing.
Shout out to my friend Blake, who picked that movie, obviously, because she loves Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Blake's a legend.
She is. She's a legend. I will leave links to all of her shit in the description, so you can go and check her out, and then bully her to come and hang out with us. Wink.
Uh-huh. Blake. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Wink. And so, Kyle bails, and then Jason sits up. It does that classic, the killer goes from lying down to sitting straight up, which is always iconic.
Iconic.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things where if it happens in a slasher, you're like, yes, they did the thing, guys, they did it. They did the thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, Kyle's just like running, and then you see him make it to like a lakeside, and you were like, oh, please tell me he's not going to drink that lake water, because he puts his hands in it, but he just sort of takes them up to like wipe across his face.
You're like, oh, that's okay, Kyle, that's fine.
And I'm like, oh, he's just washing his face, and you're like, okay, it's fine. Because after seeing him brush his teeth in the river, you were like, tell me he's not drinking that.
Yeah.
But, no. But then there's the obvious Friday the 13th thing where Jason fucking leaps up from the fucking lake, and he grabs Kyle's head in his hands, and he fucking squeezes. And he's just crushing Kyle's head in his hands. And there's just a lot of blood pouring out of Kyle's mouth. And Kyle was played by Andrew Leighty. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Again, I'm not entirely sure what else he's been in, but massive props. He's filmed most of this on his own to a GoPro. You know, I mean, it takes a lot of skill to, I think, like, obviously I'm not an actor, but it must take a lot of skill to work completely solo on something like that. Like, everybody gives Leonardo DiCaprio props for, like, The fucking Revenant, which I haven't seen. I have no desire to see it. It looks like a wad of balls, but, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely props, because it's really hard to just sit there and act on your own.
Yeah.
And he did amazing. He, like, just totally captivated us the entire time.
We were super into it. We were rooting for him the whole time. But now he's dead. Or is he? No! It did the thing. Guys, it did the thing. Guys, the horror film did the thing. It did the fake out. It did the thing. It did the thing. There we go. So yeah, he wakes up in the back of an ambulance, and there is a paramedic called Danny trying to speaking to him, being like, "Hey, you okay? Like your body, like, whoa, don't sit up too like far, like quickly. Your body's been through quite enough. You know what I mean? Like you doing all right?" And then she's like, "This is Axel," and it turns to like the other paramedic in the corner of like the back of this ambulance reading the 1980 Playboy. And he's like, "Hey, didn't anybody ever tell you to never hike alone?" And I'm like, "Guys, they did the thing! Guys,
like,
they did the thing! They said the title, they did the thing!" Woo! I love it when films do the thing. Like, unironically love it when they do the thing. I'm like, props.
One of those people that are just like a sucker for like the tropes, especially when it comes to horror film tropes. I'm like, yes.
It's always like a little wink to the audience as well, because it's like, hey, we know that it's like, maybe it's dumb, but we know that you guys are like, fuck it, we love dumb shit.
Yeah. I think that's why we all watch horror films.
That's why we watch it.
Yeah.
But another thing that I have a note about, which you wouldn't have caught because you've not seen all the Friday the 13th. The paramedic is called Axel, and he is reading a Playboy, which means he's probably kind of a sleazy dude. He's just sitting there while his co-worker's working, and there is a like a mortician guy in the beginning of part 4 called Axel, and he is like he's getting the bodies of like people from part 3 and like through, and like and he's like, oh, it's a shame, real cute girl, and then like the ambulance guy who drove her in is like, was, and he's like, well, she still is, you know what I mean? And I'm like, is that a callback to Axel? Because I'm pretty sure it must be. They've put so much other details and stuff into this movie, there's no way that they've called that the same guy and given him like the same sort of personality trait and then not have it be a callback.
I'm sure it would have been a callback. It just seems like something that, too much of a coincidence to not be a callback.
Oh yeah. So I was like, that's a good nod to the fans. Like, it's stuff that like everybody can appreciate, but then like if you're a fan, like you'll notice like other little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kyle has like a vision of Jason and he starts freaking out, and so like Danny like is going to sedate him and is like, Axel, help, and he's like, oh right, yeah. And so like they do, and so like they sedate him, like they strap him down, sedate him, calm him down, but he's having like this vision of Jason. And then like the driver comes around to the back of like the ambulance, like opens up to see what's fucking like, it's like, hey, what's wrong? And it's Tommy fucking Jarvis.
Which I just want to let everyone know that I knew that, and I would appreciate a round of applause.
Woo!
That's Thank you.
Guys, Casey did the thing.
Guys,
Casey did the thing! Yeah. And why did you know that it was Tommy Jarvis, Casey?
Well, for one thing, he had a name tag and it said Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, but like aside from the name tag.
And second of all, because I've played the video game.
There we go. I'm not like, listen, I'm saying nothing against the video game. The video game is actually really, really good. It is just such an incredible fucking shame that they can't add any new content to it. But that is like a rant that I'm not going to do about this, because this is about Never Hike Alone.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm like, fuck yeah, Tommy Jarvis, who is played by Tom Matthews, by the way, who is Tommy Jarvis from Part 6, Jason Lives. And I knew that he was in the end of this because I have seen the video, like the kill count that Dead Meat did on it, on this movie. So I knew what to expect. I knew that he was going to be there, but I was still super fucking excited when he showed up.
I didn't know, but I was like, oh my god, yes! Yeah. I was totally hyped for it. I loved it. I thought...
yeah, like fucking TJ shows up, you get hype. And so Danny's like, hey, I don't think he was alone out there, because when he was having these visions of Jason, like, he's being there, he's like, I think he's still out there. And so Tommy's like, I mean, okay, I'll call it in, because it's obviously procedure. If they think that there's somebody else out there, they've got to call it in. And so, exactly. Yeah, like, it's standard procedure. And so TJ, being the good dude that he is, my main boy, my hippity happening hype man, he starts calling in, and then he obviously sees Jason out of his fucking driver's side window, and he's like, I fucking knew it! And I'm like, yeah! Fuck yeah, Tommy! And so Axel goes out to see what's wrong, because Danny's like, go out, go see. And then he sort of comes back, like, holding his neck, like, bleeding, like, eh. And so he collapses. And then, like, Danny gets, like... Does Danny get dragged out, or does Danny just go out?
She gets dragged out. She gets
dragged, doesn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was, like, a little window that she got pulled out, if I'm correct.
I don't think it was a window. I think she just got pulled out of the back. I don't remember any broken glass.
Oh, I don't either. I'm not too sure, but I know she gets pulled out.
Yeah. Yeah, so she gets pulled out of the back, and then, like killed off screen. And then Jason is sort of stood in front of Kyle, and Kyle's strapped down, and he's, like, been sedated, so he's not, like, out yet, but he's, like, getting out of it. And then you hear the fucking best thing ever. Fucking Tommy Jarvis is like, hey, maggot head, which he does call Jason in part 6 to get his fucking attention, which is another callback. And then he's like, Ray, remember me, asshole? And then he fucking floors it, and he drives him and Kyle out of there. And then, like, the last sort of shot is just Jason walking steadily along in the trails of this ambulance. And I'm like...
He's like, I'll get there eventually.
One day I'll get there. But yeah, no, it was amazing. I really fucking enjoyed it. Because, like, obviously, I'm a massive Friday the 13th fan. You also like Friday the 13th, you just haven't seen all the movies.
No, I mean, my favorite is Jason X, and I will, once I've seen them all, I can guarantee I will stand there still and say Jason X is my favorite film.
Jason X, like, the thing is, people can shit on Jason X all they want for it being like, oh, it's just Jason goes to space. And yeah, it's Jason in fucking space. And also, they try innovative things out. And then also, they don't take themselves too seriously. So it's pretty funny. And it's one of the most enjoyable entries of the franchise. And it's got a couple of really fucking good kills.
It does.
Yeah.
Love Jason X. But back to Never Hike Alone. Totally recommend it.
Oh,
as someone
100%.
who like a huge Friday the 13th fan, but still kind of like enjoys the franchise. It was so great to watch, and really, like, afterwards I'm sitting there and thinking, man, I want to watch the first film. Like, I want to sit there and I want to properly understand all the references.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where if you've seen this and you're like, huh, I want to go watch the first movie, then you'll probably be like, I want to go watch Never Hike Alone again so I can see all the bits that they put in. And, like, they have references to other other Friday the 13th movies. Like, obviously there's that callback to Axel from part 4, and then there's, like, the callback to, obviously, Tommy Jarvis from number 6, because he's there. But there's also, like, the specific line, hey, maggot head, which is, like, specifically from there. But, like, in part 6, he's like, hey, maggot head, yeah, come at me, you pussy! I'm pretty sure, watch this, I'll be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's like, yeah, come here, you pussy! Because he's trying to get him out into Crystal Lake so he can set him on fire. That's a different story. But, I loved it. I thought it was really good. Also, since we shouted out the 3 main sort of cast members, I'm also going to, I say 3 main cast members. Tom Matthews was actually in it less than the girl who played Denny. So, Denny was played by Katie Schwartz, and Axel was played by Robert Dubois, or Dubois, Dubois.
We apologize for any, like, mispronunciations. We're just 2 simple gays trying to make it in the world.
Yeah. We have simple wants and needs. And also, everything will probably sound funny coming out of my Scottish accent anyway. Because I hit certain letters with like, a harsher tone than some other ones, like especially K. So, but that was Never Hike Alone. We would both highly recommend it. Whether you're a massive fan of Friday the 13th or not, whether you're a massive fan of horror or not, there are really good fucking practical effects, but there isn't anything that is too overly gory that you couldn't watch it if you weren't a hardcore horror fan. And there's, like...
I'd maybe give, like, a little, like, be careful with the head squishing scene, just if you're squeamish about that, but that's probably, if I'm honest, probably the worst.
Probably. Oh, I also didn't mention that head squish is probably a reference to part 3 where he squished somebody's head to kill them. But it was like the fucking most stupid fake head you've ever fucking seen. And if I feel it within myself to add more edits, this is the fucking stupid fake head here.
Please add in. Like, if you don't add anything else in, you need to add that.
Well, I'm also going to add in that picture of Crystal Method and whatever else it was that I said I was going to add in. I only said, like, 3 things, so... But, yeah, so... We don't do rankings out of 10. We never really bother with that, but... How many tasty, juicy potatoes would you give it, Casey?
I would give it 10 tasty, juicy potatoes.
I'd give it...
1 potato chip. As in crisp for Scottish people.
For Scottish people like me. I'd give it a nice round dozen potatoes. You can boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. In a stew?
Oh.
Right. So that is the end of this week's episode. As always, we do not know what we are going to watch next time. We normally decide on the day. But you can...
Because we are professional.
We are so professional, dude. Like... We totally didn't go off on tangents. That'll be cut out of this. Only small ones like, hey, I need to leave the room, and hey, can you hear that rustling? And hey, I'm drinking a cup of tea.
Where's my cup?
Where's my cup of tea? But tea. Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at FoundFootageYT. I know I said this last time, but I haven't actually fucking set it up yet. But you can maybe follow us on Instagram. whenever I set it up, I will put the link in the description if it exists.
It will happen eventually.
It will. I'll just make Casey do it.
I bet you will.
I mean,
you run the Twitter and I can run the Instagram.
I actually haven't like posted heaps on the Twitter this week, and I've been like, dude, I should probably post more on the Twitter. But I will, I promise. I've just been neglecting my duties. But yeah, so I think there's only one thing left for us to say.
Kyle out.
Kyle out!
Kyle out!
Kyle out!